So I'm having a chat with the Foo Fighters. So first things first, tell us a little bit about the record.
I thought that this record should be kind of an up, groove-oriented party album, mostly because we had never done that before. And this being our 10th album, and 2020 was our 25th anniversary, I thought, looking back on everything we'd done like really like loud, fast, noisy, sort of heavy punk rock kind of stuff. We'd done like really gentle, orchestrated acoustic stuff. And then kind of everything in between, like 3 or 4 minute long, mid-tempo, sugar sweet pop rock songs and stuff like that. But we had never really focused on making something that was kind of like groovy. But I think all of us have grown up listening to rock bands that have albums that you can dance to, and whether it's David Bowie records or even stuff, Sly and the Family Stone sort of stuff, or Motown sort of stuff. Those are all bands playing music that you can dance to. I had never imagined us doing something like that. But I guess after being in the band for so long, you want to do stuff that you haven't done before. And in a weird way, all of these songs came really naturally to us. I think that's maybe the key to longevity, is just trying to do things that make it so that you're still having fun and you're challenging yourself, and just doing something that you haven't necessarily done before.
So let's talk a bit about the writing. Did you write the record before going into the studio, or was it kind of like a put together once you were in there?
We didn't really write the album before we started making it. We went into the studio and kind of wrote it while we were recording it. So the songs were really kind of built from the ground up. And we did things that we wouldn't necessarily have done before. So someone would do a guitar part jokingly, everyone would laugh, and then we'd say, well, we got to keep it. So it was more about just kind of having fun, I guess. Or doing something that would take us by surprise. Also, we put a lot of thought into what we're doing, but I hate to spend too much time on anything because it kills the vibe. And so usually it's those little moments that if you actually get that little moment, you should probably keep it because of the way it felt the first time you heard it. So there was a lot of that.
We had a little jam room in the guest house of the house, and we would go in for as little as 5 or as many as 20 minutes and work on a song just enough to kind of sort of get to know it, and then go, okay, let's go do it.
Excellent. And tell us a little bit about the production and the recording of the record.
Yeah, we've done pre-production pretty much on every record, which kind of gives you a starting point to follow through. But on this record, it was just bring it, just whatever you feel right there.
We had been on the road down in South America, and I think that was like when he said we were going to make the album when we got back, and we kind of jumped back into it when we got back from that. And we were just in a funky old house in Encino, and it just kind of felt like you were going over to your friend's house every day to record a little bit, hanging out in the kitchen, drinking a lot of coffee.
Low pressure.
Eating a lot of bagels,
Not getting in the pool.
Right, not getting in the pool, but it felt pretty stress-free, I think.
Excellent. So how does it represent in the music?
I don't know, because everybody calls it our party record. So I guess I've had so many people ask me, like, was it just like a party the whole time? And again, I don't want to disappoint anybody, but it wasn't. But I guess maybe a couple. Dave cooked a couple of briskets. It was nice.
So what's it like in the studio with each of you?
I always say it's kind of like a clock with the wheels in a clock. So there's like a big one that's kind of going like slow like this. And there's another one to the side that's like doing this, then the one, and like when they're all working together, it makes it tick. And so, if you turn to Taylor and ask him a question about an arrangement or an ending or whatever, he's going to suggest something that's based on his love of Queen or the Police or Genesis or whatever. If you were to go to Nate would do something that was a little bit more esoteric or weird and angular. I don't know, it just kind of works.
Bowie's Let's Dance kept coming up. I don't know who was saying it, you or Taylor, but that kind of feeling of almost 80s dance, funky kind of record. And having Greg on board, which he goes nuts with like the keyboards and the synths. So I think maybe that's kind of took a little turn.
And Greg, the producer, what was it like working with him?
Greg Kurstin is, without a doubt, the most talented musician I've ever met in my entire life. It's where he has a deep understanding of music and an instrument, more so than like anybody I know. And he's a multi-instrumentalist. But again, he's one of those guys that he was playing jazz when he was a kid, jazz piano, and then he got into punk rock, then he got into fucking reggae, and then he got into Brazilian music, and then he got into electronic music, and he's just he'll just dive into something, deconstruct it, understand it, move on to the next thing, without it being too complicated.
Yeah, his taste is spot on. Usually with a jazzer or someone who's just over-talented and can play anything, all kinds of styles of music, it gets a little, iffy when it's like, what does this song need, in a simple way? And he always just nails it. You're like, how did he just do that?
But it's fun because, you feel safe when you're working with them. I don't second guess anything that Greg does, ever. I just go, okay. And he's a friend, and that's to me, that's kind of the most important thing in our world, is that we keep it as unprofessional as we possibly can. But yes, Greg Kurstin is a motherfucking badass.
I thought that he would be really detail-oriented with his breadth of musical knowledge and experience making these big pop records, and it would just be all about this process and how to make this thing very complicated and professional. And he's more like, I don't know, let's figure out a way to fuck that up. And you play something, and he's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I think you're good there.
One of his ideas, or if his idea is disagreed upon, which very rarely, he goes, "Why? What do I know?" You ever seen him do that, sort of quiet stewing a little bit?
And he is so great, to you can just say I kind of want to do that Mick Jones, Know Your Rights slapback thing. He's knows exactly where to go and how to get it. And you always go in with when we make these records, you've got the demo. You sort of have an idea what you want to play, and you go in there, and it always gets banged into something else. And he's, such a huge part of that. There was, between him and Dave and whoever else happened to be on the couch, you just sort of get through it, and it always winds up in some other place that you didn't think it was going to be, and better.
Excellent. Fantastic. And Shame's music video is out. So for people who haven't seen it, tell us a bit about the video.
That idea came from a dream that I had when I was 14 or 15 years old. I have crazy dreams, and I have my whole life, and I remember my crazy dreams. And that was one of the dreams where I was standing at the bottom of this hill, and there was a coffin on fire at the top of the hill. And I go running up to the coffin, and I went to open it, but I was burning my hands. And my entire life, I was basically trying to unravel that shit. I don't know what I was. I considered myself a happy kid. And so when we did the song, I was listening to the lyrics, and I just thought oh my God, I could take that dream idea. And so we have another friend, Paula Kodaki, who's a famous fashion photographer, world-renowned badass. So I explained the idea to her, and we thought about having another person in the video that sort of represented shame. It's like climbing all over you and trying to pull you down and dragging you and it's trying to seduce you and shit like that. There's an actress named Sophia Boutella who became famous dancing. But visually, she's incredibly beautiful and has this really striking, powerful presence about her. I was like, I think it should be her. I'd never met her before. Seen her in movies and stuff. I'm like, it should be her. We called her, and she was into it. You know, she really made the video. She and Paula really turned it into something that was way more deep and dark and cinematic than anything we'd ever done. So that was kind of a game changer.
And what about Waiting on a War, the new single?
Waiting on a War was a song that we recorded maybe halfway through the making of the album. I hadn't written it for the album. I wrote it while we were making the record, and the reason why I wrote it was because, again, when I was young, I was terrified that there was going to be a war. I grew up in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., so I always thought, okay, if there were to be a war, we were going to be the first people to get it because we were like 5 miles from the Pentagon, you know? Like, we're the first to go. So I would have these dreams when I was a kid that, like, missiles were going up over my backyard, and I thought I had a just happy childhood. So, but while we were making the record, one day I was taking my daughter Harper to school. She's 11 years old. And she said, Daddy, is there going to be a war? I was like, what? What made you say that? And I guess she'd seen something on the news. And I said, no, there's not going to be a war, don't worry. But then I realized, like, she's, like, living through the same anxiety I had when I was a kid. What a drag. Like, really, does every generation, when you're that young, think, like, oh, well, fuck it all. We're just going to die in a fucking war. And it kind of broke my heart. I'm like, oh, no, my happy little kid is afraid of that? So I wrote the song in, like, a day or two and came to the studio, and we banged it out super fast.
Excellent. And we're in this horrible time at the moment with coronavirus and everything. So how did the pandemic affect the record?
In March, when things started getting shut down, we decided to hold everything and just wait. And we would talk about it. We would wait. And then after a month, say, okay, is it time? No, it's not time yet. Okay. And we would wait. Okay, is it time?
Well, remember at first we thought, well, we'll wait till the fall.
Yeah. We'll just wait till this whole thing blows over. And then once, you start realizing, like, okay, why do we make music? I mean, it's fun to do. Do we just make it so that we can go on tour? Like, do we just make records so that we can do that thing again where we go away for a year and a half and run around with instruments? Or do we do it because, like, we actually like making records, and no matter whether we're playing it on stage or in a tiny room or not playing it at all, Also, like, making albums, it really is all about capturing a snapshot of a specific time or place or sound or whatever it is. So if too much time goes by, I don't know. I started getting worried, like, I'm not even going to like this fucking album if it comes out in 3 years. But then also, if you make the music to be heard, just let people hear it.
Fuck it. I mean, there were...
We got nothing else to do.
There were a series of Zoom calls, as things were being canceled and postponed and pushed further off into the future. And at a certain point, Dave, just felt like we have to put this thing out. We can't sit on it forever. And nobody knows. I mean, still, it's, January 2021? Nobody really knows when touring's coming back still. So at a certain point, you can't sit on it for too long.
And we can still play the songs live.
That's true. That doesn't go away.
3 or 4 years from now, whatever that is, we still get to do that.
Eventually.
So off the record, what tracks are you? Can you not wait to play live?
I'm really excited to play Shame Shame live, which we've been doing. I'm also very excited to play No Son of Mine live. I'm excited to open the show with No Son of Mine. I'm also excited to play Waiting on a War live.
Me too.
Because I would imagine if people like it, they'll sing it too. And there's nothing like a bunch of people sing along to a song. And I think that's going to happen when
Yeah, give us a date.
it happens. Yeah.
I'm
saying fall. Fall 2021.
No summer.
Thank you. Yes, please. I'm excited. I always like playing whatever, any of the new songs, but I like watching you pick the ones that work. I always like, because we'll do some songs and I'll be like, oh my God, why aren't we doing this? It's so fun to play. And Dave's like, well, they don't like it. They don't care. So what's the point? I'm like, oh, but I really like playing it. Like, yeah, but they don't care. And it's an interesting thing. And it's not always the ones I think it is.
So tell us a bit about the length of the record. Was it intentional to be that long, or is that just how it happened?
The fact that the album is 9 songs and 37 minutes or whatever it is, that was very intentional. We've made long records before. We've done the double album. We've made 13-song albums. We've had songs with 6-minute long songs and stuff like that. I really wanted it to be just short and sweet. But more than just that, we recorded other songs, but they didn't necessarily... If one of those other songs really seemed like it fit on the record, it would have gone on the record.
It kind of goes with the aesthetic of a dance, of the groovier sort of dance kind of record. And I mean, I really do think at one point we like looked at Let's Dance, or Dave did, or Greg did, or whatever, and it's just 9 songs.
And Dave always has when he's demoing ideas, he'll have like 20 or 25 ideas. So then they get pared down. So,
But I think it was, it's part of the idea of going into, right, light and breezy record, right. Like kind of more immediate. Like it's not going to be like a lot of complicated arrangements.
Excellent. So when you are performing live, you must enjoy the interaction you have with the crowds.
I've always loved the connection that we have with the audience. And it's always been a priority of mine. Like from the minute you come out on stage, I want to engage the audience and let them know, like, yeah, we're here for 2.5 hours, I mean, ages ago, we wrote a song for our second record that the tempo of the song was determined by it jumping. Because you go play European festivals and people like to go boing, 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 boing. And someone was like, what should the tempo be? And I just got up and started jumping like this. I was like, it should be that. A song like Love Dies Young, the last song on the record. That's the type of song that it's got that same tempo. And that will happen when we play it. So that's why I would like to put that on the record. And the more songs over the years that you get, that you write and record and put on, the more of those that you have as time goes on, the longer your show gets. I mean, honestly, like right now we go out and we play for 2.5 hours and there's 25 songs or whatever it is. People know pretty much every song. 18 out of those 25 songs were singles. So we make a record and now there's 5 more songs that everybody knows every fucking word to and they bounce around. Now it's 29 songs. And you go see the show and you're like, oh my God, those people just fucking bounced around for 3 hours? Like, I want to be that band.
Excellent. And off the record, is there any tracks that you don't think you'll play as much when you're out on the road?
I think that Holding Poison might not get as much attention as it deserves. It could be fun. And I think Chasing Birds will be for special occasions.
yeah.
I think Making a Fire we will be doing. I think that Shame Shame will be doing. Sure. I think that Cloud Spotter we will be doing. Sure. I think that...
I'm for sureing everyone you say.
Waiting on a War.
For sure.
Medicine at Midnight won't be top 10, but it'll be in there.
That could go either way.
Could go either way.
We'll let the
No Son of
audience
Mine
decide.
every fucking night. Yeah. That's going to be the first song on the set for a long time, I bet you. And then Love Dies Young is going to be a big festival song. Because Love Dies Young is going to be a single.
Well, Foo Fighters, thank you very much.